This podcast is sponsored by John Frieda, the expert hair care brand with tailored ranges for transforming your hair. The John Frieda PROfiller Plus is a multi-award-winning range, which thickens hair overall by 200% in just one use, and is loved by women all over the UK. Hello, and welcome to Hello's Changemaker podcast, a series redefining midlife as a positive change for good. I'm Sophie, Hello's Chief Content Officer, and my job is to share some inspiration from incredible women who are driving change in this area, and proving that midlife and the menopause can be the start of an exciting second act. This week we welcome Louise Boyce. A model, author and influencer, she's known for her humorous content creation on her Instagram page, Mama's Still Got It. With over 600,000 followers, Louise has perimenopausal mums in stitches with her posts, ensuring nobody feels alone in the midlife mummy struggle. Louise.
Hi.
Thank you for being a change maker.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. Honestly, thank you so much.
Tell me how this all began, because you were a model, first and foremost, then a mummy, and then things got a little bit tricky, sticky, as they tend to when you become a mum, but, you know, particularly in your industry. And talk me through the sort of, the introduction of your Instagram page and how you moved on to admitting to perimenopause.
Yes, it has been a journey.
Yeah.
So yes, I was modelling. I still do. But back in, when was this? So I told my agency that I was pregnant when I was 31. And this was before I was on online. I wasn't online at all. And their response, which was quite common in, back then, so this is 12 years ago, was, well, that's it, you're done. That's it. Modelling's finished and that's that. And I was expecting that. So it wasn't like a massive shock. But then, of course, you get the fear of, well, what now? I never thought I'd be in a situation where I would be pregnant, but also without a job. That wasn't the plan. So I decided that wasn't really right. Even though I was 31, I was still very much able to do my job. And then I realized that also social media was becoming more of a thing. And so I very kind of also at first didn't really want to dabble in social media. Like, believe it or not, I'm actually quite a private person. Maybe not anymore. And so it was kind of like, if you can't beat them, join them. So I downloaded Instagram and just started off very loosely, followed a few people that I know and didn't really think much of it. But at the same time, whilst I became a mother and then realised I do actually need to find a job, do something. And then I would see other models that I used to work with online and still working, but I realized that they had a very big online presence
built up their social following and
and I realized that was actually a thing. And then I realized that photographers and clients, they were used to, when they wanted to pick a model, they would want to see their portfolio, and then it went from what's their Instagram. So I was like, fine, I need to do this. And then I had another baby, and whilst I was feeding my second child, by this point now, I was more on Instagram, but still just Louise Boyce.
It was a sideline, sort of, or even just something you were doing for fun for yourself rather than a career.
Exactly. And then, but I really felt like I'd lost my identity a bit. You know what it's like when you're a mother to small children. There is a part of you that feels, I don't know who I am anymore. And I remember very, very vividly, I was feeding my 6-month-old baby, and my other son was like probably destroying the house somewhere, and an email popped up through my new agency saying a shoot's come in. It's in Italy. It's a great photographer. It's a great styling team. Are you ready to do it? And I was ready to do it. And I just looked at my baby and I went, oh, I guess Mama's still got it. And then it was like this light bulb just
I love it.
pinged.
That's great.
And I was like, oh my God, maybe there's something in this. Maybe this is what I do online to kind of encourage or, be this inspiration to women that, we have still got it. And I immediately kind of looked at the domain name, and mamastillgotit.com was available. I just bought it there and then. I didn't have the clue what I was going to do.
Oh my God, I love that. That's
but
amazing.
I knew that I was going to do something. I didn't know in what capacity, but I knew that I was onto something.
And I love as well that you didn't have the hesitation, because I know exactly what you're talking about. My kids are much older now, but when they're younger, you lose a sense of self because you're a mum and you're so focused on that. And getting back into work, you know, whether it's after 6 months or a year or a few years or whatever, is challenging. I remember going to a Topshop for personal shopping because I was going to some job interviews and I couldn't envisage myself not in my mum uniform.
Yeah.
But going to be a model, that's even more of a step because, you know, your body's been through all of these changes.
Yeah.
But I love that you didn't question that you still had it, that you were like, yes, I'm ready.
I think I was probably in a state of like, I need something.
Yeah.
Like I need to do something other than
I want it.
being a mum.
Yeah.
You know, it's wonderful being a mum, but there was always a part of me that was like, I need more.
Yeah.
And I think getting that email gave me that boost of confidence that I was really lacking.
Yeah.
Which made me go, do you know what?
I can.
Sod it.
Yeah.
I'm going to try this.
Do it.
You know, if it doesn't work out, fine, doesn't matter. And so yeah, bought the domain name. And then I remember changing my Instagram name from Louise Boyce to Mama Still Got It. And I remember messaging my closest girlfriend saying, I'm mixing this up. I'm not being self-obsessed, but I'm just trying something out. And they're all very supportive. And they were like, do what you need to do. We're behind you. We'll like everything that you do. And so it started from there. And then my Instagram changed from being more kind of like, I guess, more inspirational and speaking up, you know, we've still got it, no matter our age or our anything. We have... You know, how dare that agency say that my work was done? And, you know, it's so common in the workplace for women to announce they're having a baby and it's like, well, they're brushed aside.
and sidelined, yes.
And I was like, no. And then modelling picked up and it was great. And I was onto a role and everything. Like, I actually felt like I've got this sorted.
Got it, yeah.
And then COVID hit. And as we know, everything changed. And it was around this time that I decided to do funny videos, I think for my own sanity. And I remember just every day during that first lockdown, when we were all a bit frightened and didn't know what the hell was going on, I decided to just do a funny video, not really knowing what on earth. Again, I needed to do something.
Yes.
It was nice for me anyway, to have like this kind of creative outlook on life. But then to get messages from people that are following me saying, you've really helped me today. You've made me smile today. Or you made me realize I'm normal today. And then seeing that the videos were getting shared. Yeah. And then seeing people starting to follow my page, and
it must have been insane.
It was
so
crazy.
exciting.
It was such a quick, it just happened all so quickly and kind of very organically and accidentally. And so it's crazy, but I just went with it.
Was there a time, do you remember like a moment where you thought, oh my God, this has worked, or this is really taken off? Do you remember like a post that took off? Or
do you know what? It was more my mother-in-law, who doesn't have social media, she doesn't have a clue, or didn't have a clue anything what I was doing online. And then she kind of said to me one day, she was like, do you have a blog called Mama Still Got It or something? And I was like, yeah. She was like, my friends in Ireland are huge fans. She's Irish. And I was like, oh my God, okay. And for her to say it,
yes,
for someone that's not even online, I don't know, for me, I was like, oh my gosh, okay, that's something.
Something's happening.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was for me, that was it. But then, HarperCollins got in touch and wrote a book about everything, and I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. And now being on this podcast with you, like, I've never thought that it would kind of get as far as it's gone, which is wonderful.
So I feel that, the sort of the mum influencer thing, I think, has been so fantastic for mothers. And I don't think that really existed actually 18 years ago when I had my first child. But it has broken down so many taboos, and you can talk about things that you didn't talk about. You can admit to feeling ways that, before we couldn't really, or people did admit some, but some didn't. And, so that's really fantastic. The next level of taboo is midlife and the menopause. And it's really only been the last 2-3 years, I think, that people have started talking about that, being perimenopausal, having symptoms. Was there a question in your mind as to whether, because, like being a model, having a baby, people said, well, that's going to end your career. Lots of people feel, I think, that if you start mentioning the menopause, that's also people are going to have preconceptions about what you are, how old you are, whether you're still able to do your job. Did you ever think that this might, did you hesitate to talk about perimenopausal symptoms?
Nope, not at all.
Wonderful.
No, because it happens to women and it's going to happen. It's inevitable. And again, I kind of thought, if I can share my experience, make it lighthearted, know that we're in this together, then I'll do that. I had absolutely no hesitation at all. And again, I have done a few perimenopausal posts, which are humorous. I've actually invented another character called Peri. And again, the comments and the messages have been lovely and I know again that I have helped other women.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. We know so much more now about what we're going to experience during midlife, that and I feel empowered having that education. My mum never had that. My grandmother never had that. And I do talk to my mum about it. And I say to her, what did you do? How did you cope with the menopause? And she said she got one bit of advice, and it was only spoken about once, and that was with her stepmother. And that advice was, keep busy. That was it. That was
it's amazing,
the
isn't
only
it?
advice that she got, nothing else. Like I talk to my girlfriends about everything. And one of the conversations we have is perimenopause, menopause, and we're so open. There are no filters and it's wonderful. And the same with people online, same with so many women that are such great advocates for like just talking about it. And it's really, really great. And for me, I've been having symptoms for the last 3 years, and I've known that it's coming. I've known what to expect. I've known what to do. I've known what books to read, what podcasts to listen to. And it's really helped me already. And I know I've still got a lot more to come, but I'm ready for it. I've educated myself in it. It's the same when I was pregnant. I read all the books, I listened to all the podcasts, and I educated myself so I knew what was to come.
Yeah, you're right, actually, because those books didn't exist probably 20 years ago, did they?
No.
For parenthood, and there was so much to read.
Yeah, there was so much to read. And I did so much work on myself when I was pregnant. I'm doing the same now, going through midlife.
Yeah.
And it's
Knowing
helping
what's
me
round the
already.
corner. Yeah, that's really interesting. You talk about having a group of friends that you're very open with. I'm lucky enough to have the same. And I know, like, actually not everyone does. I think that's a real gift, especially going through being a mother. But occasionally I'll find myself around a breakfast table or a brunch table, and I'll share something because I'm a big sharer, and suddenly it goes silent, and I think, oh my God, it's just me. It never is just me. It never is. But you're doing that, but on a mega scale. Do you ever release one of your videos and go, oh my God, please, can this not just be me?
Oh, all the time. All the time. I so many times where I've pressed, post, and you can see it uploading, like, oh God. What are people going to think? Is this going to work? Is it relatable? All the time. And actually, I'd say majority of the time, in fact, probably 99% of the time, it is relatable. And people are going through the same thing. And that's nice for me to know. That's for everyone to know. We're all in this together. And I'm a big sharer. And my group of girlfriends, we're all big sharers.
Yeah.
There is no filter. And that I find really comforting.
I think it's really comforting. I think that I sort of first figured this out reading sort of Bridget Jones' chick lit books when I was dating. And I got really into them because I realised that everything that I was going through, I would find in one of these books. And it made me think, actually, I'm not this weird person. Like we are like humans, and this experience is sort of one that lots of others are sharing. Do you obviously helping lots of other people in similar situations, mothers, midlife, mothers entering midlife. Do you feel like you have a real community? Do you have relationships with the people that follow you? And
I feel really lucky. I think my followers are fantastic and I'm grateful for every single one of them. I try and answer all the DMs, which is impossible, but
yes,
I try.
I'm sure.
I try and like and reply to comments on my videos, but that is a full-time job in itself. I really do feel like my followers, like even coming here today, I got stopped twice walking here, and whenever anyone comes up to me, they are so nice.
Yeah, what do they say? I love that.
Yeah, just like, oh my God, are you Mama Still Got It? No one actually knows my name.
No.
But I don't
That's
mind
cool,
that. I'm
yeah.
like, yes, I'm Mama Still Got It. And then they're like, oh my God, thank you. Like it's usually a thank you or keep doing what you're doing or, I love
That's so
following
nice.
you, or everyone is so nice and they feel like they know me. And what's lovely is that so they're talking to me like they've known me for years because they follow me, and I like that because that's the kind of person that I am. So then I kind of reciprocate, and then I'm like, well, this is actually like, should we go and get a coffee or something? It's really nice. So everyone's been lovely, and touch wood in terms of trolling
and stuff.
It's very minimal, and I'm not looking for it. Or actually, there was one thing. I can't remember what it was now, but someone commented something on a post and then my followers backed me up. Like they were then kind of the ones that kind of
took the war on, and I was like,
back.
Oh,
guys, that's
great.
Really sweet. Thank you so much. But yeah, I think the community that I have built, it does feel like it is a community, and I feel like it's a big age span as well. Like I've got new mothers following me, and then I've got women that are in their, well, now my mother-in-law who's in her 70s is now like, a fan, and it's nice that I can touch people in different ages and stages in their life.
It's really nice. This podcast is sponsored by John Frieda, the expert hair care brand with tailored ranges for transforming your hair. The John Frieda PROfiller Plus is a multi-award winning range, which thickens hair overall by 200% in just one use, and is loved by women all over the UK. So talk to me about memory. I love that is the content that just like has me in stitches because it's so relatable.
Yeah.
But baby brain was the first. Do you remember when you were pregnant and you'd be a bit scatty, and I literally don't feel like my brain ever recovered.
No,
I probably shouldn't say that out loud. But.
Yeah, it's really irritating because, as I said, I can remember, and I'm sure we can all relate to this, I can remember lyrics to a song that I used to sing 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
Even if you haven't heard it for years, sometimes it'll come on the radio.
And like, oh yeah, I remember that. But remembering little things that you need to remember, what day is PE, or what day did I say I was going to do this? And it has, I have got myself into trouble for it because I have forgotten things. Taking my kid to a birthday party, even though it's in my phone, and it's probably written on a calendar, and I'm still like, I don't. But it's. And even my husband's like, but we discussed this.
I know.
And I'm like, yeah, I know we did. And I see my friends go through it. And I guess my community, when I do those posts about memory loss, and even when I do podcasts, I can't think of certain words.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know that word. The other day, I couldn't remember the word for windmill. I was like, it's that house with like things that stick out from it.
I know.
It's like, it's just... It's one of those things. I was given advice actually from one of my followers to take a vitamin called lion's mane.
Yes. Do you know, you must be like the third person that said that to me this week. Have you tried it?
I have. I took some this morning and so far so good.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, we've had no problem with words so far. Yeah,
exactly.
I'm
on time.
This is good.
So I'm giving that a go. But yeah, I was told it was apparently kind of makes things a bit sharper or whatever.
Yeah,
It sounds a bit too good to be true. I don't know. So I'm giving that a go. But yeah, that was recommended by one of my followers. Actually, a few of my followers. So I'm hoping that's going to help with memory loss. So,
names are a killer for me, and I've never been good with names, but now it's ridiculous. And in my line of work, there'll be a celebrity that I've known. I know everything about them, and I'll be like, that one that was in that that program. Oh, it drives me mad.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to like not let that make you feel a bit stupid or for it to be a bit embarrassing. I definitely think the fact that we all talk about it now is a lot better, and you can say it's the menopause.
Yeah, and I have done that. I have done that. I have been in a podcast where I've actually said, I'm really sorry, I've lost my trail of thought. It's perimenopause.
Yeah.
Peri's here somewhere.
Yeah.
And to be honest about it. And again, I think that's quite, well, it is, it's nice for other women to go, okay, thank God for that.
Yes.
Same with hot flushes.
Yes.
Like, I'm really honest when I get one.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where I am. I was in a meeting the other day and I was like, guys, I'm really sorry. I'm literally on fire right now and I can't. And they're like, it's fine. It's fine. Take your time. And I'm like, sorry, what were we talking about? And I did a video on this actually recently about being in a meeting and being absolutely fine. Like, right, okay, we've got this to talk about. And then going, oh my God, I'm so hot.
Melting.
And then I've completely forgotten my trail of thought. But it happens, and just crack on with it.
And it's amazing, really, that we are doing that, isn't it? And I think that when I have the kids around the kitchen table, and they'll be like, "What? We spoke about this," and and that I say to two teenage boys, I'm like, "Well, I know, I'm a woman of a certain age. This is what happens, boys," and that's great because they're going to grow up with knowledge that we didn't have. Like you say, I think my mum always said, oh no, I didn't have any menopause symptoms. But then when we actually dig down, she did. She just didn't realise that they were menopause symptoms.
Blocked it out or forgotten. And I've actually also think it's really important to almost, I'm trying to educate my husband because he will say things like, well, I told you this already. And that makes me so angry because I'm like, already got a million tabs open anyway.
Yes.
But also I am going through these changes. And I made him we watched together the Davina McCall documentary. And I was like, I want you to watch this because I am going to be going through.
No, it's a good idea.
Changes. It's going to span over 10 years, but I need you to understand this. And he did watch it. And he is actually great with that. Yeah. So I've been really honest and said to him, I am going to be forgetful. Yesterday, I said to him, I said, do you think I'm a bit more angry? And he was like, yeah, you're I'm snapping a lot quicker than I would before. And I was like, yeah, I know, I am. And I said, it's all part of it.
Yeah.
But then he said something funny, and I can't remember what it was now. Standard. And, even my sex drive, it's not what it was. Yeah. And I've had to say to him, I still find you attractive, but I might need a more, sometimes I'm just not feeling it.
Yeah.
And but again, so then we talked about it, and I said I'm going to see a female clinic. I'm going to talk to them about testosterone or estrogen. I have progesterone, so I've got the coil. Yeah. See, is this oversharing? I don't even know.
This is good. I'm enjoying it.
So I have that.
Yes.
And but then a lot of my friends are on estrogen, like the patches or the pumps or whatever. And one of my friends has just started taking testosterone because she said that her sex drive just went. Yes. And now she says she's like a teenage boy.
So and I've had this from friends as well. I have one friend, one colleague in the office whose boyfriend she's menopausal, but still fairly high sex drive, who was telling her she certainly should not get testosterone for fear of what it might do to her. And then on this podcast a few weeks ago, we had Shirley Ballas, who was...
Love her.
Awesome. She was talking about her HRT. She grew a beard.
Well, this is what I'm afraid of, because you do hear, I love her so much.
I know.
You do hear that if you take the testosterone, then of course...
She said she had, but hers was extreme. So she was taking testosterone. Really? Oh my God. And then she had a test. I think she wasn't feeling quite right. Had a test and she had more testosterone than the man. And she was like, this is why I've
Did her voice drop?
No, her voice didn't drop, but she did grow a beard. But she was, she's fantastic. Shirley's very fun.
Did she just reduce the amount then?
Yeah. And then she was fine. So it's all about, it's just about finding the balance and finding the balance for you, isn't it? Yes,
definitely.
What do you think that the one thing that I think is not a negative at all, because there's no way that we shouldn't be talking about the menopause, but a sort of side effect of the fact that we talk about the menopause is that it can feel very daunting. And I think that there are like, I knew the number and now I've forgotten it. 44 symptoms of menopause, something like that. And this is one of the reasons that at Hello, we're trying to sort of second act is our invention for
I love that.
for
I love
midlife,
that,
because
yeah.
it is the start of something new, and it can be the beginning of a really great phase in a woman's life.
Absolutely.
And obviously you have to know what's happening to navigate it. But with all of this talk of menopause, it can feel a little bit like, oh my God, what is coming? Have you felt that at all? Sort of like terror of what's around the corner, like this is Perry, but I'm holding on for the real thing.
The way that I look at it is everyone reacts to everything differently. So if you think back to when you're pregnant, some people were sick, some people fainted, some people got swollen, some people got stretch marks. Every pregnancy is different. So I didn't even my 3 pregnancies were different. You know, the first one I didn't even know I was pregnant, and I sailed through it, and I thought, this is easy. Whereas my third, I was sick. The exhaustion was crazy. Maybe it's because I had 2 other children to look after as well. But then, you know, a friend of mine with her first pregnancy, she couldn't get out of bed. So everyone's different. And I feel like everyone has different menopausal symptoms as well. Again, my mother-in-law, don't know why I keep talking about her. Maybe because she's holding the fort at home. She said that she didn't have any symptoms whatsoever. One day she was just like, oh my God, I haven't had a period for a year. Okay, cool. Whereas other women go through all sorts, everything. Yeah. So I feel like we all have different symptoms. There is no like one size fits all for the menopause. And my symptoms so far have been the hot flushes, anger, loss of sex drive,
brain fog,
thank you. I am waking up every night going for a wee. Yeah. Even though if I don't drink anything because I just don't want to wake up, but I'm still waking up. I'm so hot in the night. So I'm having these ones, whereas other people go through much more severe ones. Yeah. And this is why as well, it's so important to kind of educate yourself, because there are so many women, as we know, go through depression and think they're depressed. So they go to the doctors and they get given antidepressants. And it's not that. They just need that hormones back. Yeah. And a very dear friend of mine, what she thought was this depression, and she was giving antidepressants, nothing was working. And then she went to see a female clinic, and they were like, no, get off that. This is what you need. And
she's, I know. I think everyone knows people or are people or have people in their lives that have had that experience, which is really why it is so important and that we're talking that there's about
not,
this.
Now we're talking about it, but you think the amount of women over the years that have just been left to just figure it out. Like my mum, just stay busy. That was all she was told, stay busy. And then of course, the scare of HRT can trigger breast cancer. And it's just, I'm so pleased now, our generation, all generations to come, there's so much more knowledge. And thank goodness, if men went through the menopause, they'd have it all solved.
Yes. No, it's true. Yeah. There is a statistic about the number of drugs that are available for erectile dysfunction versus the number of drugs that are available for the menopause. And
it's just classic.
Yes.
It's just classic.
There's a little hope. I did a menopause event in New York with Candice Bushnell, who wrote Sex and the City.
Yes, amazing.
And she's been through and out the other side of menopause. And she's like, it is so great once you've got rid of your estrogen. Everything, she says, I feel like a man in the sense that I don't have to multitask anymore because I can't. So that way that women are always juggling the mental load. She doesn't have that capacity anymore. So she even got good at sums. She was never any good at numbers. Wow. She's become really logical, and she just feels like she lives like a man now. And actually it's really fun. So I like that idea as well, that this is a rocky period, and it can be, 10 years or something. Yeah. But you come out the other side and
I like that.
Good.
There is... again, my mum said that. She was like, you do go through this phase of like, what's going on? But then you come out and you're like, as you said, this new act two, this new lease of life, this new identity.
Don't care so much about what everyone's thinking, and don't have to look after everything that ever comes across your path.
That's really exciting to look forward to.
Yeah, it is.
And that's what I want to think about midlife and menopause is. There is light at the end of the tunnel. You are going to become this, maybe it's like the caterpillar and you go into this cocoon and then you shed and you're this amazing butterfly. That's the way that I want to look at it. That's the way that I am looking at it. And I really hope that women can do that. I feel like that's so powerful to look at it as like a new lease, a new chapter, a new act. I love that.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Can I ask you one final thing I want to ask about is confidence. Now, you look fantastic. You obviously are genetically blessed. You are already a model, but that's not to say that you don't have the same insecurities that other people have, and aging and going through the menopause, skin changes, hair changes, all of that sort of thing are another thing for us to navigate.
Of course.
How do you handle that, and how do you sort of keep your confidence, and do you have any tricks or tips and things that make you feel good about yourself if you're having a moment?
Well, it's interesting, actually. I mean, being in the modelling industry, especially as young as 15 and in the 90s, you're told all of your flaws.
Right.
So even though, you're a model, I was told on a daily basis that I wasn't good enough. Like if it wasn't like your eyes are too close together, your nose is wonky, your hair is too flat, you need to lose weight, your boobs aren't perky enough. Like I was told
such
constantly.
Scrutiny,
I never felt like I had confidence when I was younger. And then that developed into an eating disorder. So then obviously my confidence was gone. There was none. And then I must say, actually, I do think becoming a mother helped my confidence because I was suddenly responsible for these small people.
Yes.
They looked up to me like I was everything.
Yes.
And that's, it's nice.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I think also with age, I kind of got to a point where I didn't care as much. And I also kind of did a lot of work on myself. I did a lot of like self-love and self-worth. Again, I read the books, I read the podcasts. I seem to like, I like to work on myself.
Yeah.
And that really helped. And I would say that I'm a very confident person. It's taken time, but of course I get days where I have no confidence.
Yeah.
And I feel like even with everything that I've built up online, some days I'm like, what am I doing? No one cares.
Yes.
What am I doing? This is ridiculous. And then something will happen. And I'm like, okay, no, this is good. Like the ladies that bumped into me this morning to like say thank you. I was like, do you know what? I really needed that this morning actually, because I felt like I was, you just question yourself. And again, with the estrogen leaving the building, which I like to call the Beyonce, I do have to remind myself sometimes how far I've come. And I'm a big believer in writing diaries.
Oh, okay.
I've been writing diaries for years. And it's nice to look back.
As an adult or as a child as well?
I've started, actually I did do them as a child and stupidly I threw them away.
Yeah.
I wish I kept them. But I started again in 2004. So when I was 24, and I've done them every year. And it's fascinating to look back on. It's like a time capsule.
Yeah.
But I've seen how I've grown.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And how my mindset has changed, the people that I've cut out of my life or the people that are still in my life. And for me, that has helped me kind of look back and go, no, I have actually come really far. And I am really proud of what I've done.
And is it journaling in general or sort of gratitude? Do you do gratitude journaling?
I do.
Yeah.
I mean, my journaling that I do, so every night before I go to bed, I'll write like a little paragraph. And sometimes it's like an absolute rant. And sometimes it's like, oh, this was really great. And other times it's just like, well, this has happened today, not much has happened. And that's it. And it's just nice to look back on. But I do have a separate gratitude diary that I need to probably do more often. That one seems to kind of take there's too much to do otherwise. But I do want to pick that one back up. But I also keep voice notes on my phone. My phone is like voice note after voice note of things that have happened, ranting or great things that have happened to remind myself. Because again, I look back on them and I think, oh my God, that happened 2 years ago. And I was really upset about that, but I've come through it and it's fine and it's better and everything's fine.
It can help put things in perspective, can't it? Yeah.
And that really does help with my confidence. You're kind of reminding yourself that every day we are working towards something or battling something or, I don't know. For me, that I like that. And I've done the brain fog, so I can't remember what you asked me in the first place.
No, just that's exactly that. Like how you keep confident, or how you sort of, perk your get yourself back up.
I do think as well, the community that I have online, they really help me as well.
Yeah, I bet.
They really help me. I do know that from their comments and their sharing and their likes wants me to do more or do better online for them to see, which does help me as well.
Well, please keep it up, because it gives us a lot of... When I said in the office today that I was coming to do this podcast, 3 of my midlife mum pals were like, oh my God, I love her. She's so funny.
Oh, that's so nice to hear. See, that's so nice.
So please keep it up, because it gives us all a bit of light relief when we definitely need it.
Good.
And thank you so much for joining me today.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.